Have you ever felt like your body's just giving up on you? You know, that the slow, blurry decline of your vision is just something you have to accept as you get older? Well, what if I told you that's not exactly true? Today, we're going to flip that idea on its head. We're going to talk about your eyes in a totally new way, not as parts that break down, but as a system you can actually maintain. All right, let's get into it.
You know how it starts. It's so subtle, right? You're in a restaurant, the lights are low, and suddenly the words on the menu look kind of fuzzy. You find yourself doing that little arm stretch, pushing it further away to get it to snap into focus. Or maybe you're driving home, and the headlights from the car coming towards you just explode into these messy starbursts. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. And it's not a sign your eyes are broken. It's a sign they're exhausted. So, here's the most important shift in thinking we need to make. We have to stop thinking of our eye as a simple camera with a lens that just wears out over time. That's the old myth. The new reality? Your eye is way more like a high-performance biological engine. And just like any engine, running full throttle from the second you wake up, it needs the right fuel, the right environment, and yeah, some regular maintenance to keep performing at its absolute best. So, here's our maintenance plan. First, we're going to understand the engine itself. Then, we'll talk about the high-grade fuel it needs to run clean. After that, we'll look at optimizing its working environment, then a simple workout to keep it flexible, and finally, a technique to completely reboot the whole system. Okay, let's dive into part one, the biological engine. Because you can't fix a problem if you don't really understand it, right? So seeing isn't passive. It's not just light coming in. It is an incredibly energetic process. I mean, every single time a photon of light hits your retina, a tiny chemical explosion goes off to send that signal to your brain. Now think about that. Millions and millions of tiny explosions every second. And just like a car engine, those explosions create waste products. Think of it like engine debris or soot. When we're young, our body has this amazing, super efficient cleanup crew that just sweeps all that debris away instantly. But as we get older, that crew, well, it starts to slow down. The debris piles up, and that pile up is what we actually perceive as blurry vision. The scientific term for it is oxidative stress. Which brings us right to section 2. The right fuel source. So if oxidative stress, that engine debris, is the problem, then giving our engine the right high-grade fuel is our first and best solution. And trust me, we're talking about a lot more than just eating a few carrots. We need to build what I like to call internal sunglasses. See, deep inside your eye, the macula, that's the part you use for sharp, detailed vision, is supposed to have this protective yellow pigment. It's literally a shield, and that shield is built from two key nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin. You find them in things like spinach and kale. They act like built-in blue light blocking glasses. But here is the absolute kicker. Your body cannot make these. You have to get them from your food.
And this brings us to a critical mistake that so many people make. They'll have a big spinach salad or throw it in a smoothie, but they'll skip the fat to be healthy. But these nutrients are fat-soluble. That means without a healthy fat like some olive oil or avocado, your body can't absorb them. They just pass right through you. You're basically throwing the best fuel for your eyes right in the trash.
But a protective shield isn't enough. An engine also needs good oil to run smoothly, right? Well, for your eyes, that oil is omega-3s, and specifically one called DHA. Get this, your retina has the highest concentration of DHA of any part of your entire body. When you get enough of it, from something like salmon or an algae supplement, you will literally see the difference. The contrast improves, black text on a page looks blacker, whites look whiter and cleaner.
Okay, so you've upgraded the fuel. Now, let's look at the environment you're operating this engine in. This brings us to section 3. We've got to talk about what our screens are doing to our eyes, and something I call the blink crisis.
This is honestly shocking. Under normal circumstances, a person blinks about 18 times every minute. But the moment we start staring at a computer or phone screen, that rate plummets to just 4 or 5 times a minute. That's insane. It's like trying to drive in a rainstorm with windshield wipers that only turn on once every minute. No wonder your eyes feel dry, gritty, and strained. You're literally forgetting to blink.
And the problem gets worse. It's not just that we blink less, it's that we do these little, incomplete, half blinks. A full proper blink is essential because it squeezes a tiny gland that releases the protective oily layer of your tear film. Without that oil sealing everything in, the watery layer underneath just evaporates almost instantly. That leaves dry spots on your cornea, and that is what causes that familiar scratchy, sand-in-your-eyes feeling.
So what's the fix? Well, you have to reduce what's called the stare factor. The biggest culprit is high contrast, a super bright screen in a pitch black room.
Instead, try to match your screen's brightness to the light level in the room. A great trick is to turn off those harsh overhead lights and use a soft desk lamp pointing it at the wall behind your monitor. This bias lighting dramatically reduces eye strain and helps your natural blink rate come back online.
All right, we've got our fuel and our environment sorted. Let's move on to section 4, the focusing workout. Inside your eye, there's a tiny little muscle called the ciliary muscle. The best way to think about it is like a rubber band that stretches and contracts all day long to change your focus from near to far. As we get older, this rubber band just naturally gets a little stiff. That's a condition called presbyopia, and it's why so many of us start needing reading glasses.
But here's the problem. Our modern lives force this muscle into just one position for hours and hours on end. Staring at a screen is the physical equivalent of holding a bicep curl for 10 hours straight. I mean, could you imagine? Your muscle would lock up in a painful cramp. And that's exactly what happens to your focusing muscle. It gets locked in a spasm, making it really hard to relax and see things clearly in the distance.
So how do we break that spasm? We need to do some push-ups for our eyes. Seriously, try this. Hold your thumb about 10 inches from your face. Now focus really hard on the little lines of your thumbprint for about 5 seconds. Then instantly shift your gaze to something far away, at least 20 feet, a tree outside, a picture on the wall. Focus on it until it's perfectly sharp, then go back to your thumb. Doing this just 10 times a day can work wonders for that muscle's flexibility.
And that brings us to our final step, section 5, the system reboot. Okay, so we've fueled the engine, we've adjusted the environment, we've worked out the muscles. Now we need to let the entire system just relax. Your optic nerve is literally a direct extension of your brain. So when your eyes are stressed, your brain is stressed, and vice versa. We have to break that loop.
And the ultimate reset button is a technique called palming. It's so simple. Just rub your hands together really fast until they feel warm, then gently cup them over your closed eyes. Don't actually press on your eyelids. You want to create a little cave of total darkness. The combination of the gentle heat from your hands and the complete lack of light sends a signal to your optic nerve to just stop firing. It quiets down all that neural noise. Just 2 minutes of this can feel incredibly refreshing.
Now here's a fascinating bonus concept for you. Modern life, especially with screens, forces us into what's called foveal tunnel vision. We're constantly zoomed in, focusing on tiny little details. Well, to your ancient nervous system, that kind of intense, narrow focus means only one of two things. You are either hunting something or you are being hunted. It keeps you in a low-grade state of fight or flight all day long. And the way to counteract this is to do a peripheral reset. It's easy. Just keep your eyes fixed on one spot in front of you, but expand your awareness out to the very edges of your vision. Without moving your eyes, just notice the ceiling above you, the floor below you, the walls to your left and right. The act of taking in the whole room at once sends a powerful signal to your brain that says, I am safe, I can see everything. And your focusing muscles and your entire nervous system can finally relax.
So look, I know that was a lot of information, but you don't have to do everything at once. Here's your super simple 3-step plan of attack. Tonight, just add some spinach and a little olive oil to your dinner. Tomorrow, when you get to work, take 1 minute to adjust your lighting to cut down on glare. And when that classic 2 p.m. headache starts to hit, instead of grabbing an aspirin, just try 2 minutes of palming and see how you feel.
It all comes down to this, really. Your body has this incredible, built-in capacity to heal and maintain itself. It wants to see clearly. The only question is, are you giving it the basic tools it needs to do its job?